Less than 2 years after one of Hollywood's most talked-about divorces, Christine Baumgartner has done something no one saw coming. She's married again. And her new husband? Let's just say he's not a stranger to the Costner family circle. For months, fans assumed Christine was still finding her footing after that high-profile split from Yellowstone star Kevin Costner. The headlines, the court battles, the rumors about who was really to blame. But while the public was still dissecting every detail of that breakup, Christine was quietly writing a brand new chapter of her life. It wasn't another red carpet romance or some Hollywood rebound. This was personal, familiar. And when news broke that she'd said "I do" again, even longtime Costner fans stopped scrolling for a second. Because what no one expected was who she married, and how the story between them actually began long before her divorce was finalized. For nearly 2 decades, Kevin Costner and Christine Baumgartner looked like one of the few Hollywood couples who had cracked the code. A quiet marriage, 3 kids, and a life deliberately kept out of the tabloids. She was the poised former model turned designer. He was the Oscar-winning actor and director whose career had spanned generations. Together, they seemed steady, timeless. Until suddenly, they weren't. In May 2023, Christine filed for divorce, citing the familiar but heavy phrase, irreconcilable differences. Court papers revealed April 11th as the official date of separation, marking the quiet end of what fans thought was a lifelong partnership. For those who had watched Costner's steady public persona, the news landed like a shockwave. Reports claimed even Costner himself hadn't seen it coming, that he was blindsided by the filing while filming Yellowstone. Within hours, the story dominated entertainment news cycles. Paparazzi camped outside their Santa Barbara home. Social media flooded with sympathy, curiosity, and speculation. How could a 19-year marriage, one that had survived fame, distance, and the chaos of Hollywood, collapse so suddenly? And while the world assumed Christine was retreating from the spotlight to rebuild quietly, she was, in fact, about to step into an entirely new story, one no one saw coming. What began as a quiet separation soon erupted into one of the messiest Hollywood breakups of 2023. Within weeks, the headlines weren't about heartbreak. They were about money, property, and the fine print of a prenuptial agreement that suddenly became front-page news. Christine Baumgartner, who had once been seen as the calm and steady partner beside a Hollywood legend, was now portrayed as the woman challenging the star of Yellowstone in court. She demanded higher child support, arguing that maintaining stability for their 3 children required more than what Costner initially offered. Documents were leaked, numbers were dissected, and the tabloids painted their private pain as public theater. The court battles stretched through the summer, revealing details neither of them probably ever wanted aired. Reports described emotional depositions, tearful moments, and back-and-forth exchanges over everything from their Santa Barbara estate to monthly expenses. Fans who had once admired their quiet life were suddenly watching a legal showdown worthy of a primetime drama. By early 2024, the storm finally began to settle. The judge upheld the terms of the prenuptial agreement, granting the couple joint legal and physical custody of their children. The financial tug-of-war ended not with a dramatic twist, but with quiet signatures on paper. The last chapter of a marriage once built on love and trust. For Costner, it meant closure. For Christine, it meant freedom, a fresh start, and the chance to decide what her next act would look like. Enter Joshua Connor, a name that, until recently, lived quietly in the Costner family's wider circle. A successful businessman and father of 3, Joshua wasn't some Hollywood newcomer or mysterious stranger. He was a longtime family friend, someone who had shared dinners, gatherings, and laughter across the same Santa Barbara social circles that once revolved around the Costners. When the paparazzi photos first surfaced, in July 2023, showing Christine and Joshua vacationing together in Hawaii, fans didn't know what to think. Was it just a friendship? A rebound? Or something that had been building long before anyone noticed? The images told a different story. The kind of quiet comfort that doesn't come from a new acquaintance, but from years of familiarity. Online, opinions split in two. Some fans applauded Christine for moving forward, saying she deserved happiness after a grueling divorce. Others weren't so forgiving, questioning the timing and wondering whether the friendship had blurred lines while her marriage was still unraveling. But few realized just how deep the connection already ran, and that this wasn't a case of Hollywood infatuation, but something that had been quietly taking shape long before the public ever caught on. By February 2024, the whispers had turned into confirmation. Christine and Joshua were photographed walking hand in hand through the streets of Santa Barbara, laughing easily, no longer hiding behind sunglasses or silence. Reports claimed the chemistry between them was undeniable. The kind of effortless warmth that comes when two people have already weathered storms separately and finally find calm together. For Christine, it was a quiet debut of a new chapter. No red carpet, no statement to the press, just an afternoon stroll that said everything without a single word. She looked lighter, freer, as if the weight of courtrooms and headlines had finally lifted. Meanwhile, miles away and worlds apart, Kevin Costner was experiencing his own kind of closure. That same spring, during the Horizon, an American Saga premiere at Cannes, the veteran actor grew visibly emotional as the crowd rose in a long-standing ovation. Cameras caught the glisten in his eyes. Not just pride, but the kind of reflection that only comes after loss. Two lives, once intertwined, were quietly finding balance again, each moving forward, but in very different directions. The sun dipped low over Santa Ynez Ranch, casting a golden haze across rows of grapevines and white chairs arranged beneath the open sky. It wasn't a Hollywood spectacle, no towering floral arches or celebrity photographers, just a private vineyard, 100 guests, and two families blending into one under the soft California light. Christine Baumgartner, radiant in an understated gown, walked toward Joshua Connor as the sound of string instruments carried through the warm air. Their children, 6 in total between them, stood nearby, smiling, watching two parents start over. The ceremony felt intimate, almost sacred, as if everyone there understood they were witnessing more than just a wedding. It was a quiet redemption story. Guests later told People magazine it was authentic, heartfelt, not a big production. Another described it as magical, the kind of love that feels real because it's been tested. The laughter rolled from the welcome celebration Friday night to the final dance on Saturday, and as the vows were exchanged, there wasn't a dry eye in the crowd. But what stunned everyone wasn't just the vows. It was who stood up to bless the union. As news of the wedding spread, social media lit up with one question: would Kevin Costner respond? Fans scoured his interviews and posts for even a hint of reaction, but the actor remained completely silent. No statement, no shade, just stillness. Those close to him told reporters he was pouring all his energy into directing and promoting Horizon, an American saga, a passion project years in the making. For Costner, the focus seemed to be on rebuilding, not revisiting the past. Still, the internet had opinions. Some users called Christine's remarriage too soon, suggesting that a year and a half after a 19-year marriage felt abrupt. Others pushed back, saying, everyone deserves happiness, even after heartbreak. The debate raged across comment sections and fan forums, splitting between nostalgia for the couple they once were and acceptance that both had chosen different paths forward. For every bittersweet post wondering how Costner must feel, there were others cheering Christine on for finding joy again. The tone across platforms was tender, almost reflective, like fans were watching not gossip, but the quiet, human process of closure unfold in real time. In the end, it's hard not to look at their story and feel a mix of emotions: nostalgia, surprise, maybe even admiration. Two people who once shared a home, a family, and nearly 2 decades of life together now share only memories and separate futures. But in those separate paths, there's something deeply human: the need to heal, to grow, and to find peace again in ways that make sense only to them. Kevin Costner has his next great frontier, a sprawling film saga he's poured his heart into, perhaps channeling all the loss and wisdom of the past few years. Christine Baumgartner has chosen love, laughter, and the chance to rebuild her life beside someone who understands what it means to start over. There's no villain here, just two souls moving toward the light in their own directions. And maybe that's the quiet truth behind every Hollywood story we think we know: that endings aren't failures, they're transformations. So what do you think? Did Christine move on too quickly? Or is this simply her second chance at love?